Hey friend, this may strike you as an odd question, but have you ever stopped and thought about the word inspire? Hi, I'm Kate Glaude, and as a voice teacher, the word inspire has a special significance for me. You can learn more about me at kateglaude.com, and if you enjoyed today's video, please like and subscribe below. Let's get started. I think we usually think of the word inspire in terms of inspirational quotes or stories. And when we use the word this way, we're referring to something that we find emotionally or mentally stimulating. Exceptional achievement, heroic actions, even the beauty of the natural world, we can find all of that inspiring. And often it's a visceral reaction. I love that the other definition of inspire is also a physical reaction. To inspire simply means to breathe in. But have you ever noticed that when something inspires you, it causes you to breathe in and in different ways? It might be like, oh, that's amazing, or oh, how beautiful. But we do it all the time, right? And we also do it when we have an idea or when we think of something that we want to say. We inspire when we're inspired. I'm such a geek. You might be thinking, well, that's cool. That's a nice observation, Kate, but how are you going to turn that into something practical? Well, I think this observation can make you a more dynamic actor and a better, more generous conversationalist. Let's look at acting first. You know when you're in a scene with other people that you are not just waiting for your turn to speak. You're actively engaged with what's going on. But one of the challenges with acting, stage work in particular, is that things can get stale during a long run, or we can be distracted by the audience. A lot of things can make us stop listening to each other. As an actor, you have to know specifically what it is the other character says that inspires your character to respond with your next line. And it can't just be because the other guy stopped talking, right? So something within that character's lines, an idea, a word, a thought, a phrase, gives your character the need to speak, the need to respond. Otherwise, the scene would be over. We know listening is important, but if we listen specifically for that thing, that word, that phrase that inspires our character to speak, and we allow ourselves to inspire physically when we hear it, we'll end up listening more actively, picking up our cues more appropriately, and responding even more spontaneously to the subtle nuances that happen from performance to performance. Listening like this brings us closer to hearing it for the first time, like in a real conversation. And if your scene partner throws you a slightly different take on a line, you're more likely to respond more genuinely to what's coming at you. Playing with inspiration in rehearsal can also be useful. Try running your scene having chosen to inhale every time you hear a phrase that causes your character to want to respond. Keep listening and continue to breathe, but hold on to the feeling or tone of that inspiratory breath and let it inform your next line. Now, you're likely responding to what we call operative words, words that we stress or color in a particular way. Now, some operative words will make more sense than others, of course, so it's always important to keep in mind the context of the scene and the given circumstances of the play. But doing an inspiration run can be really useful for exploring different options of operative words and the difference in nuance in responding to them. Now remember, just because you're inspired to speak doesn't mean you should cut off your scene partner's line. Nor should you do this in real-life conversation, because then you'd just be interrupting people all the time. However, being aware of inspiration when you're talking with friends or colleagues can make you a better conversationalist, as I mentioned earlier. If you're aware of when people are inspired by observing their physical inspiration, you might actually be able to facilitate a broader discussion by recognizing when other people have ideas to share. You might even provide a much-needed opportunity for a more timid person to get a word in edgewise. A very simple, I think Kate had a thought on that, does the trick. One final thought about inspiration. We don't usually run out of air when we're in a regular real-life conversation, but often actors need to plan breaths for long, complex lines. This speaks to the human mind-body connection. When your body is expressing your thoughts, it takes in the right amount of air. Your inhalation corresponds to your inspiration. But the actor is expressing the character's thoughts, and so sometimes a little planning is needed to bridge that gap between the playwright's mind and the actor's body. All right, that's enough musing on inspiration, but keep an eye out for it in conversation. It's pretty fascinating when you catch it, and try an inspiration run the next time you're working on a scene. See what you discover.